Welcome to the Brave New World. This is how much of the work as an actor that I'm getting is actually at the moment, and a lot of my colleagues that would be in contact with, um, we're thankfully still working through this, um, albeit without any real change to the original environment, because looking at the original topic, or the main topic for today, which is voice acting for purposes of animation and indeed commercials and audiobooks, it has a knock on. Voice acting by its nature is generally speaking incredibly isolated and isolating work. So I have to say that the lockdown itself didn't make any major difference to me, apart from, I suppose, more enforced proximity with my immediate family. But you know, can't have everything. I suppose first and foremost, the nature of voice acting for animation is you as actors, I'm taking it that you guys are all actors and interested in the field. You looked like you shared the affliction. As actors, we use our imagination the whole time. From the moment we read a part to the moment we start moving that character that we come up with, imagining who they are, how we move them through the dialogue, everything is a work of imagination. When you're doing it live, the moment there's other living, breathing people in front of you playing the same game by the same rules, and you've all the myriad of people backstage or behind the camera, or indeed in an audio production, when there's other people there making it real, making it valid, it's easier for you to believe that you are Pope Celestine V or a wounded cowboy or whatever the part is. And in voice acting for animation, we really, by and large, have to keep that trick of the imagination going a great deal longer, because much of what we inform our performance with through our imagination, by distilling all of that, everything that you want to see on stage when you're performing a character, you have to provide that with your voice. But we really have to approach voice acting with a great deal, a greater investment in the imaginary world. I often put myself back in that mindset that we all had when we were 6 or 7, and all you needed was a convincing shaped blanket in the corner, and it was a monster, and you'd spend all day, and that was the best CGI, your imagination. That's the space I get into when I'm running through dialogue for an animated character, because you really do have to see the pictures. It's very important as a performer to control your environment as immediately as you can. That whether you're on stage in the Glasgow Empire doing stand-up, whether you're doing Hamlet, whether you're in front of a camera or behind a microphone, very often your environment is controlled by others or is made a safe working space by others. But you can't always rely on that. Why, as actors, do we always check our props, or should we always check our props? It's because no matter how good the prop guy is or the last actor who does the handover is, unless you've checked your props, if you find yourself standing in front of 1,500 people with a pretend gun because the prop isn't there, that's on you. So it's the same thing. You need to be able to be in control, immediate control of your environment. This is the other thing in the imaginary space when you're when you're working, providing animation tracks. If you have a very dynamic line like Oh my goodness, we have to go and get the magic frog from the tree of life. You know, you could do it as, oh my goodness, we have to go and get the magic frog from the tree of life. But using your imagination, you're probably going to be giving that guy not just vocal thrust, but physical thrust. So oh my goodness, we've got to go and get the magic frog from the tree of life. It makes it far more dynamic. So, you need to be able to know that you've got a bit of space to move around. So you can't really do that if you're hugging the microphone. Now, obviously, there's points in a performance, in any performance, where you're going to want to use the microphone for its intimate capabilities, because when we get in close on a microphone, that to the viewer, to the audience, to the listener, that's incredibly dynamic and close contact information for them. It is really, really, really important for all of the other things that you're wrapped up in, character-wise and space-wise, and environment-wise, and watching your back and everything. It's really important to be listening the whole time. And that goes for an audio production, it goes for stage production, it goes for film production. No matter how much crack you're having or concentration you're involved in, you really do have to kind of listen to that mission control chatter that's going on in the background, and particularly in audio, because when they knock on the talkback, it can be very confusing. You're like the monkey in the top of the space capsule, wondering when they're going to get you to push the big red button an awful lot of the time. But if you're listening, you'll hear the bit of playback that they're concentrating on. It gives you a little kind of head start. You got a better idea of where they're going to be picking up from, or what the issue that they want to address is. And if you're engaged with them, it is about engaging in the relationship between you and the director, or you and the engineer. Everybody is there to help each other. Everybody's there to support each other. So there's no point in having any fear or worry about asking a question. With the exception of pure theater, I can't really think of an area of performance, modern performance. I can't think of a single area that is helped by not knowing everything you can about the character and what you're doing and how you're doing it, except improv. Improv is fine. You can throw your caution to the wind and you're working on suggestions. But even then, when you're doing improv, you're self-producing, because you got to keep your concentration going. What's your character? What are you doing? Am I on a spaceship? How many hands do I have? Whatever the thing you've come up with in improv. So what I mean about self-production is, have the concentration to know that you're on the money. If you've come up with a voice, there's no point in losing concentration, so your own original voice notes are coming in and swamping it, or he starts off being from Boston and by the end of the session he's from Glasgow. It's important to just keep spot checking yourself and going, am I having so much fun that I'm forgetting to do the job? I will always ask for a character drawing when they send scripts, when they send aside, so months, years ahead of it actually being drawn and animated. And they will usually tell you, oh, this is what the guy looks like. Sometimes they'll a lot of the time they'll have an idea of what they want the character to sound like. They'll give you a reference. We think he's a bit like Danny DeVito, which I always read as, we don't have enough money for Danny DeVito, so we've asked you, which is fine. But take these references and you can work on them. But all of those little references it takes, he's from London, he's a pirate, he's got false teeth. Anything that you think that will inform that voice is great. But if they can give you a picture of what they think the guy is going to look like, that's terrific. Because then you can make other character decisions. You need to make the actual recording process as much second nature to you as brushing your teeth or turning the kettle on. And you know, think back to the first time you brushed your teeth or turned the kettle on. I personally remember stabbing myself in the face with a toothbrush. You know, so it's been weeks since I've done that, and that's because of practice. So if we practice and practice and practice, things get better, and it means that we can concentrate on the actual meat of the job. This goes for self-taping for live action roles and self-taping for audio roles. Step away from the block. Be good to yourself. If you put the prep in, if you come up with if you put the brain work in, the thought into developing what your take on the character is, how you think the character sounds, walks, breathes, eats, all of that. That's as much as any of us can do. In an audition, in a casting, we're just going, well, this is what we think the guy is like. So the big job is convincing ourselves about that person enough to be able to go, yeah, I think that's what that person is like. That's what I'm going to sell. Voice work is the thing that I would be looking at as being a bigger area of opportunity in the next number of years. Simply because animation is one of those businesses that is largely unaffected by the pandemic. The adjustments were made very, very quickly in that particular part of the industry. So animation is rolling forward. So it is a good area to be looking at developing.
My question is, like, do you ever do any, like, I don't know, vocal warm-ups or something before you go into a booth to, like, kind of, I don't know, wake your voice up or figure out, like, where you're going to go with, like, your register? You're saying, like, a deeper register or a higher register.
A very good thing to warm up with is gentle humming. No, just closed mouth humming is really good. And when you feel that you're controlling, that there's no crackle at any part of your register going from now I'm getting as I'm trying to go up high, I can't on a hum. So that's when I would start opening it up just into and but again, not overdoing it. I'm not going for projection. I'm going for warming up the notes, so it's not surprising.
I was just wondering, is there a lot of prep work that goes into voice acting?
It depends on the job. I find most of the prep work, most of my prep work is in the very preliminary stages. When I'm looking at the sides, when I'm asking for the character drawings, the first couple of days in studio, first couple of sessions in studio, that's the most work, because that's when everybody is agreeing on the rules of the game, what somebody talks like, you know, whether or not they're afraid of nettles, you know, the crazy stuff that happens in an animation thing, you know, so that's where a lot of the prep work goes on. And that's where my memory is very engaged. I remember those kind of little details and nuances far more, and I will trust my memory on those kind of things, because I really be thinking and engaged at that point. I trust my memory of them far more than I trust my memory of the voice I've picked for the character. And this is another thing. Because I talk about self-production, the importance of the ear. Don't always think yourself infallible. And the first thing I do, if I'm recording 4 days in a row, first thing I do when I hit the booth every day is, can you play me the guy from yesterday? Because I want to make sure I'm him. And likewise, if I'm coming back to him 4 years from now, first thing I'm going to say is, what the hell does this guy sound like? You know, and never be embarrassed about checking your quality control. I think, generally speaking, it is very important to remain much as I hate the phrase, as networked as possible with your contemporaries, and particularly, over the years, because I have a relationship with an agent. That's why as an actor we have an agent. They do the hard work. Most of, well, not the hard work. If say that, they'll look for more money, but I, even with an agent, I still find, just talking to friends in the business, they go, oh, they're casting this, they're casting that. So that's when I'll ring my agent and go, have you heard about this? Whatever. So if you don't have an agent, you're in that loop. You can at least find out who's casting it. What are people casting?
So we'll leave it at that. Thank you, everyone. And please do keep in touch with us. And we'd love to hear how you're getting on with all your endeavors. Okay,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys. And I hope
Thank
to see
you.
you all on set or in studio in the future.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.